The Last Camp. In the state of Maine, deep in the dense forests, the old Greenlake Camp had been abandoned for years. It was said that once every summer, the place was full of life. But after a fire that claimed the lives of several children, the camp was shut down. Since then, the camp had become overgrown with weeds, and Greenlake had turned into a mirror of desolation. A group of teenagers, Benny, Emma, Jared, and Lauren, weren't scared by the story. They decided to spend the weekend in the ruins of the camp, lighting a fire, scaring each other with ghost stories, and checking if the place was really haunted. Benny borrowed his father's car, and by the evening of Friday the 13th, they were already entering the camp. "This place is creepy," Lauren said, glancing at the overgrown paths. "That's what makes it cool." Jared smirked. They found a relatively intact cabin, set up camp, and by nightfall, they had a fire going. The crackling of burning wood merged with the darkness. The lake in the distance looked like an inky void. "Do you know what they say about this camp?" Benny began. "There used to be a caretaker here, Mr. Lasky. After the fire, they found him hanging in one of the cabins. They say he couldn't forgive himself for not saving the children. But there are other rumors." "Like what?" Emma shivered. "That he wasn't a victim, but the killer. The children didn't die by accident. He locked them in the cabin to get revenge on their parents. Apparently they had humiliated him in the past." Suddenly a rustling came from the bushes. Everyone froze. "Just an animal," Jared whispered, "or the wind." But a minute later, something stepped closer. Someone. Slow creaking footsteps on rotten wood. "That's not an animal," Lauren whispered. They jumped to their feet, turning toward the dark silhouette. A tall figure in tattered clothing stared at them with empty eye sockets. In its hands, a rusty axe. Benny stepped back. "This is a joke, right?" he muttered nervously. But the figure took a step forward, a dry crunch under its foot. Emma screamed. Then it all began. The figure lunged forward faster than they expected. The axe gleamed in the firelight. Jared shoved Emma aside and barely dodged the swing. Benny ran toward the car but tripped, and Lauren, trying to help him, hesitated. The creature caught up with them. Benny was the first to fall. The axe sank into his back like butter. He twitched, choked, and collapsed onto the grass. Emma ran in panic toward the lake. Jared followed. Lauren stood frozen in horror as the dead man stepped toward her. "No," she sobbed. The axe whistled through the air. Lauren shuddered and fell backward. The last thing she saw was the eyeless stare watching her sink into the darkness. Emma and Jared ran as fast as they could. Branches whipped their faces. The lake ahead glowed under the moonlight. Behind them, they heard heavy footsteps. The monster was not far behind. "Into the water!" Emma screamed, but Jared suddenly stopped. "It's useless. He always catches up," he murmured. Emma looked at him in horror. "What?" Jared slowly turned to her. There was no fear in his eyes, just a sorrowful realization. "This isn't just a killer. This place, it doesn't let anyone leave." He swallowed hard. "I saw it in a dream. We're all dead." Emma didn't have time to respond. The shadow engulfed her. By morning, when the sun bathed the camp in light, there was no one left. Only the silent lake, the abandoned cabins, and the fire, still smoldering in the ashes.